All right. Okay. So, guys, so let's go ahead and start. First off, I want to thank you all for attending this K2K web shop. Again, my name is Daniel Londano. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the business specialist here in Komet, and I'll be more than glad to answer any questions you may have after we do the rundown of K2K and how it works. Okay. Um, Away from this, kind of just some important notes that I want to give everybody out. Everybody's in mute. After we finish the 30-minute session of K2K and how it works, we're going to go into Q&A. If you need me to stay, longer, more than glad to do so. The most important thing is that I can answer everybody's questions and really get this to a better understanding. Okay. On top of that, the session is being recorded, and I will proceed to send you. I say probably Monday or Tuesday. Actually Tuesday, I'll be sending you guys the recording for everybody. And away from that, you should also be receiving a checklist that we created for the comment to comment, just to get an understanding of the basic of what you have, what you need to have on your end ready when you are pretty much set to connect with comment to comment. That either if you're a receiving company or actually a providing company. And what I mean by that is if you're the customer or the vendor. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the comment-to-comment brief introduction. So for those of you that don't really know much about it, pretty much what it comes down to it's going to be the integration of one of your vendors. If you're a wholesaler, then what we're going to do is that your vendor's inventory, we're going to go ahead and integrate it with your platform, so automatically goes transferred right into your e-commerce, and your customer, let's say, is going to be Carlos shops, right? He's going to log in over into the e-commerce portal and be able to see all of the product. Now, they have no idea that the product that I'm reflecting on my e-commerce is actually going to be my vendors, which we're going to call them, in this case, I'm going to call them Danny's importing. Okay? So they have no idea. Carlos has no idea that all of the inventory they're seeing on on my e-commerce is actually Danny's import. And when they go ahead and select the product and click on checkout, it automatically goes and proceeds to create a pre-book within my system and a purchase order, which in that purchase order goes back and creates an invoice over in Daniel's imports location, right? And then all that Danny does is just confirms that order, gets shipped out over to me. I receive the order, and then that's exactly when I go ahead and proceed to confirm or scan that label, receive the box, and then I can go ahead and ship it out to my system, to my customer, because it creates an invoice within the system. Okay. Then we're gonna go ahead and after that, getting to know that little information there, I'm gonna go ahead and show you like a graphic and really go into details on how we're gonna do it. The implementation process in best practices really comes down to the following. It's really this feature right here to exactly what I'm showing you. So in the beginning, when everything is set up, we need to make sure that the receiving company has all the proper settings activated. Because if these settings are not properly activated, then that means that there's going to be always this conflict that we're selling the product wrong, we're not making the correct margins, or we're just not displaying the product properly in comment to comment. So maybe because of the days of service don't match. So there's all kinds of different things, and that's why it really comes down that before we go live with that, the implementation process is being taken care of, and that's part of the things we're going to go in to do like a little rundown once we do the mapping for the products and make sure that everything's correct. So going back to the first part, the comment to comment, which is going to be the comment to comment briefly introduction. So this is an idea of what the chart will look like, right? So we're coming from the flour importing, and then we have the wholesaler, like I was saying. The inventory automatically is going to get reflected over here in the wholesale location, which then allows the retailers or wedding planners, event planners to automatically see the inventory, and when they do the checkout, it automatically creates a pre-book here, the purchase order, and then it sends it automatically over into the importer where it creates the invoice. Okay. Again, all this will be shared with you, where you can see the different steps here and the different information. The next thing I want to go ahead and talk about again is the comment-to-comment implementation process. Before anything gets done here on the comment-to-comment implementation process, it really comes down to the initial request. And what it's this? The initial request is actually, let's say, the handshake between both companies. Now, if, for example, in this case, let's go ahead and use again the wholesaler. Let's say it's going to be Danny's wholesale. If Danny is interested in connecting K2K with Daniel's import company, then I cannot just contact Komet and say, hey, look, I want to connect with Daniel's import, proceed to connect me. This doesn't work that way, because we would have to go into Daniel's platform and pretty much do some things on the back end and be able to connect. So what we need is that you will need to send an email out to your vendor. If you're a wholesaler, if you're an importer, send it out to your customer, the wholesaler, requesting, hey, I'm interested in connecting with Komet to Komet. And once that both parties agree to that, you will send us that email, and then we will proceed to do the integration and all the mapping. Once that's done, we will inform both parties that everything's been integrated, and we can proceed with the process, which is really coming down to like initial buy, so we can see how it works, and you guys can like test it out, make sure that we adjust any pricings or anything like that we need to take care of. And then once that's done, we can proceed to go live and inform all the customers. If you're starting from zero, if you're already using e-commerce and all your customers are familiar with it, then it's just like another walk in the park. They're not gonna have an idea what's going on. All they know is that they see the product available and they can proceed to purchase that. Okay. Now, going from here, setting configuration. This is really, really important because this is where everything comes down to. And what I was talking about earlier, how the company needs to set up everything. The publishing company in this case could be the importer. Okay. As a publishing company, really the main settings that I need to be aware of, it's actually my days of service for my customer. That's really the most important thing, that my days of service for the customers are set properly. And then everything falls down if there's going to be something more of an FOB option, or if it's going to be just a regular sale, right? If FOB option, then you can activate it. If not, it's just a regular sale. There's no other settings that publishing company needs to be aware of. For the receiving company, this is where it's a little bit, let's say, more tedious, right? Because we need to make sure that the receiving company, the vendor shipping schedule matches to the dates of service from the vendor. If they don't match, then the integration is not going to properly be reflecting all the information. That means that the end customer is not going to see the product accordingly. So the most important thing is that this vendor shipping schedule and the customer's days of service always match. Okay. Away from that, we need to make sure that we have our inbound truck setting activated, so that way we can charge the fuel. We can take into account the fuel surcharge. We can take into account the cube rate that the carrier, and we also need to select which carrier is going to be transporting the goods from the vendor over to your location. That way, all the costs that is going to be integrated. So, for example, let's say, and why this is all important, if Daniel's Import is selling a rose at $1, okay, and then they actually gets connected into Komet to Komet, and then it's going to be reflected over at Daniel's Wholesale. If Daniel Wholesale has the inbound activated, which is it's going to have the fuel surcharge that is 15%, and then it's got a cube rate of 3, right? And then we have a company's GP margin set to, I don't know, let's say 15%. That's how the system is going to calculate what my earnings will be, and then what the final price will be reflected for the end customer on the e-commerce, right? So that way, every company has their margin. They're able to sell the product and nobody's losing. So it's really important to always take this into account. Okay. Another thing I want to talk about here, it's going to be the special considerations. Okay. Komet to Komet has a special considerations, which is going to be the pricing. Pretty sure that this is really the biggest question you might have in your mind right now. Okay, well, how do we, away from what I just explained on the GPM, the inbound truck charges, is there another way that we can do pricing? Right now, the only way you can do pricing is through the integration through the inbound, taking into account the calculations, or you can use a price list and associate it. The only thing is that if we activate a price list to associate for Komet to Komet, keep in mind that if the Daniel's Importer company is selling the rose at $1, but my price list is set to sell that product at $1.20, and if we in the estimated plus taking into account the transportation, all the inbound charges, the rose should be sold for $2, and you have that price is at $1.20. Keep in mind that you already have that that effect that you're going to lose 80 cents already on that flower. So it's really important that if you decide to go with Komet to Komet, and then you tell us, Andy, activate the price list for me, then I'm gonna go back and reinstate what I just said today. Be careful on how we use this, because this can affect your cost of the product, and you could probably sell it for cheaper and lose money on it. So it's really important to always take that into account. The pricing screen, which all of you may know, especially since we have a lot of admins and managers here, everybody should know that the pricing screen It's a really cool feature because we can massively update all the pricing, but the pricing screen has nothing to do with comment to comment. It's not going to affect your comment to comment product. Okay? The only one that it really works for the pricing screen is actually going to be the publishing company. The publishing company may see adjustment to the pricing screen. He's got no problems. But as a receiving company, I cannot use the pricing screen to adjust my comment to comment product and reflect a different price. It's not. It's just, again, it's just not going to work. Okay. And then once we have all these settings done, we proceed to do the mapping. The mapping is not done by the vendor. The mapping is done directly at the receiving company. But in the cool thing is that you guys are not going to be doing the mapping. Komet will be taking care of the mapping for you. Right now, we're doing this in-house, but eventually we're looking to find a faster way to do like an ID where things gets done automatically, and this integration gets done faster. So when we're doing the integration, bear with us if for some reason it could take us 1 or 2 days extra to get it done. Is because we're doing the mapping for you guys to make sure that the products are properly matched based on your product list, and that you as a receiver. Okay. Once all this is done, we have all the mapping, have confirmed product, so it gets published directly on the e-commerce portal. Then we can proceed to do the final check, and that's really going to say, okay, let's go ahead and only confirm one product to reflect into comment to comment. Let's go ahead and look at that product, make sure that the end price matches and everything is correct, and we already taken into account all the calculations that we need. Okay. Once that is done, let's proceed to do a purchase. So you guys have an understanding on how the system will create the pre-book, the purchase order, how the vendor is going to ship the boxes out to you, and when you receive them, what does it look like, and how is it scanning. So that way you understand, you have the process, broken down, and it's easier to understand. And once that's done, then we can literally just confirm all the products automatically gets published, and your customers can start buying. Okay. Now, another important thing that I want to mention is it's going to be the multi-location companies. There's a couple of companies that have their multi-location. So, for example, when you guys send us the emails requesting an integration with comment to comment, if this is coming from the wholesaler, or if it's an importer and they're both multi-location, we as Komet need to know which locations we need to integrate with the vendor. Okay, because if you just tell me, hey, proceed to integrate comment to comment, but the wholesaler is a multi-location company, and let's say it has 5 or 6 or 2 locations, we have no idea which location you guys need to connect to. Are we going to connect it to both companies, to both locations, or are we going to connect it to one? So this is a question that is going to come up a lot. We're going to, if by any chance somebody forgets to put it in there, we're going to go back and say, hey, please let them know which location you want us to integrate with, so we can proceed to do that. The reason why I say this is because if I only integrate it with one location, that means that the second location is not going to see anything related to comment to comment. So that's really important why I want to present that, the multi-location process. Okay. So now let's go into the fun part, which is going to be the demo. Okay. You should be able to see now my screen here. Let me go ahead and switch over. And you should be able to see my second screen. Okay. So right now, this company that you're seeing on my screen, it's acting as the receiving company. I'm sorry, as the vendor, the publishing company. So in this case, we're looking at Daniel's importer. Now, when Daniel's importing, it's doing all the product. He's adding all his inventory directly, right, into the system. He's not going to see any issues at all, right? He's going to see all the product. He's going to see everything that's going on. He's adding, but then everything that we're seeing physically on our inventory here, and you should be seeing it now, it's being reflected over into the e-commerce portal. Okay, that's exactly what's being reflected there. So if you make any adjustments of the product, if you make anything regarding prices, boom, that actually gets done. Now, you guys, once that gets done, what we're going to look into is that I'm going to go right into here into inventory. I'm going to go then to add inventory. When I click on add inventory here, it's going to take me to the it's going to take me to the ad screen, and then I want to go ahead and click on the link above, which says unit vendor availability. Okay, which is this little tab right here. We're going to go ahead and click on it. Okay, when we're clicking on this screen here, what this screen is telling me right now is that we're going to go ahead and click on the staging area, and this is where we're going to see all the comment to comment product that's being transferred as the receiving company from the publishing company, right? So when we click here in the staging area, really important is that it's automatically going to show us everything that is available on the staging. So this is where we come down to the mapping. This is the fun part that Komet is going to be taking care of for you guys. Because in this screen, so for example, as you can see here, I got some products that I call them here. We call them Pablo roses, right? But really, in reality, the reason why I put this weird, this person's name here is because every company calls their product differently. Nobody really, everybody calls their, like for example, Rose Freedom, could probably be, Rose Red for somebody else. So the whole point of this is that we need to go into do a mapping. So if I see that the vendor has the name called Pablo Rango's flower, right? But in reality, my product is called Rose 40 centimeters. That's where we're gonna go ahead and do the mapping. So we go and say, okay, you know what? This product here is equals to my rose, and I type in here Rose 40 centimeters. Boom, we selected, right? And then when I click on enter, it automatically does the mapping for me, and it's done. Everything's already been mapped. It really comes down to the process of really just confirming the product from here over into available items. As you can see here, we have on the top right corner available items. Once I click select the product here, for example this one, and then I click on confirm product, that is automatically going to be transferred into available items. And you cannot say, hey, I want to cancel that product again and no longer reflect it. Once you confirm it, product is confirmed, it's always going to be reflected on e-commerce. Okay. Again, so that this is really important that we are aware of that. Once that I select the product here and click on confirm, the product is confirmed, and next time that product gets transferred from the vendor over into your system, it's always automatically going to be confirmed because the first time you originally confirmed it here. Okay. So I just want to point that out. The other thing I want to point out as well is the following feature. Once we go into the available items, okay, let's go and bring it up here. Once we go into the available items, we're going to go ahead and see everything that is available. Now, I have K2K, and I added a couple of different products here that are coming from a vendor availability, so we can see the difference, and you guys are able to know what is K2K and what is a different product, okay? So with the comment to comment, it's always going to have the little icon. So I have some product already here that I confirmed, and it shows me exactly, how many products that we have available, right? And then it's showing me here, how I was back, what is my unit cost. This is, as a receiving company, this is where we're seeing the price that we're buying this product from your vendor. But this is not what the customer is going to see. So once the product everything has been confirmed and it gets reflected into the staging area, over into available, then I'm going to go now and log in as a customer. So I'm going to go ahead and click on e-commerce, and I'm going to log in as a customer. Click on Alzate. Let's use this customer today. And then here, so it's logging in. And then now, this customer, as you can see, it's taken by default today's date, but there's really no K2K product. Now, this is where the fun part begins, because what I was telling you, if we don't properly set the shipping schedules and the days of service, then the system is not going to be able to know how to identify. For this customer right here, what I have is that the vendor needs to ship product out over, Daniel's Import needs to ship out product over to Daniel's wholesaler on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So since today's Thursday, and yesterday was the delivery from Daniel's Import over to the wholesalers, it's not going to reflect any K2K product because it's not possible to ship it out today, right? If we click on Friday, it's not going to show any product either because, again, that's the day that, Daniel's Import will be shipping product out over to the wholesaler, right? But if I quickly go over and click on Monday's date, because tomorrow will be a shipping date, I can click on the 29th, and as you can see, it automatically brings up K2K product, the agapentos that I have here. So that automatically tells me, okay, perfect. I can definitely select this product, and I want to go and select one box. Now again, the reason why it's showing it is because since my vendor's shipping out to me on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays is one of the shipping schedules. If I select it for Monday, and I know Friday they can ship the product out tomorrow over to the wholesaler, it's gonna make it on time to deliver it to our customer on Monday, the 29th. So it actually makes perfect sense. And if we look at it to the 31st, so it makes more sense now. It's not going to reflect, and why it's that? Because the product that I have right now, confirmed, it's has got an aging of 2. It's got an aging of 2, right? And based on the settings that the vendor has based on their aging product, if it's the aging gets cut off at 5 because that becomes local product or things like that, by the 31st it's been already 3 days, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's now going to reflect it because the product is just too old. So we're not going to reflect that product over to the customer. So again, based on the settings that we generate as a vendor, that's also going to affect the product that will be reflected as the receiving company reflecting over to the customer. Okay. So let's go back over to the 29th and we can see product. Now, once I have product here, I proceed to go ahead and select this one, and I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to buy 2 boxes. Okay, once I have 2 boxes, I already have the carrier here, which is delivery. I can go ahead and click add, or I can just click enter, and the system proceeds to take into account the following. Now, automatically it took the order, but one really important thing is the next thing I want to talk about is the days. Your cutoff time. This is really, really important in this case because if, for example, let's say today was Friday, and it's the day that Daniel's importing company is sending everything out over to us. Okay, and if the cutoff time for Daniel's product it's 10 o'clock, and we're trying to put this product in today at 2 o'clock, we're automatically going to get a notification saying, hey, it's past the cutoff time because it's taking into account the vendor shipping schedule to ship it out to you. If we never brought that cutoff time into account, then what it will do is that it would just, it let the customer know, okay, the order's coming in, but in reality, they wouldn't really receive the product on the 29th because your vendor will be shipping it out to you guys on Monday. So that's really, it's really important to take into account how the process is going to work for you guys, okay? Okay, so I proceeded to purchase the product. So we can see we have the 2 boxes, right? Here's the 2 boxes. I automatically added the order number, which is 5260. Okay, and as you can see, it created a pre-book instead of a regular order. The reason why I created this order here, 5260, is because what it's doing. And let's go and look at Daniel's wholesale. Let's go ahead and close this out real quick, and let's go over and look at the pre-book, how I created everything. So if I go over to pre-books, and then I go into pre-book summary, so I'm acting as a salesperson, which the salesperson receives an email notification letting them know, in this case, Alsate proceeded to create an order, right? And here's the order right here, W5260, which tells me the customer, the carrier, and if we quickly click on the magnifying glass here, we're going to be able to see that this order is associated to, right here to vendor availability, but it created a purchase order number, okay? And this purchase order number automatically proceeded to create an invoice, okay, over at Daniel's importing company, okay? So how do I, as Daniel's wholesaler, how am I able to identify what orders are coming in from K to my location? How can I match that? And what we did to do that is that we used this purchase order number to automatically create that purchase order over at the vendor's invoice as the customer PO. So that way it's easier to track everything and know what is going on. So again, that PO 3983, it's automatically going to be created under customer PO over at the vendor's location. So now what I'm going to show you is I'm going to go ahead and show you from the point of view as a vendor how everything will look like. So let's go ahead and bring you right into the screen here. And I'm going to go right into the order entry, order summary. And again, if we remember, the purchase order was $39.83. And this, also really important. I'm going to go ahead and take into account here, the truck date is for the 25th. That's when, so I'm going to go right here. I'm going to go back to the past for the 26th because that's when the company's shipping it out to me. And let's focus again on the 26th. And under the customer PO, $39.83. And then I'm going to click enter. And here's the order. As you can see, automatically here it shows PO number 3983. If we click on the magnifying glass, it's automatically going to show me the order that Alsate created through e-commerce. Here's the Komet to Komet icon, and it shows me all the information. What now proceeds from here is that the salesperson will just proceed to automatically click on confirm the order. Once they confirm the order, the regular process everybody knows. The warehouse proceeds to ship the product out. Again, that shipping label becomes the receiving company's receiving label. Okay, so they don't have to reprint the label to pretty much scan that box to their inventory and confirm it as received. No, that shipping label from Daniel's importing is going to be the receiving label for Daniel's wholesale flowers. Okay. All right. I mean, again, guys, that's pretty much the whole demo and how Komet to Komet works. If there's any questions, we can go ahead and start the Q&As. We have a couple of questions here now, so let me go ahead and go. So we as an importer can choose which item to offer on K2K and leave the rest in a regular inventory. Now, that's a really good question. As the importer company, you really don't have the saying like, hey, this is what I want to project for Komet to Komet. That decision gets done really is the receiving company. The receiving company, since they're the one getting all the information, they're the ones are doing the mapping and confirming what's going to be reflected over to their end customers, are the ones when it tells, hey Danny, you know what? I don't want a specific category or specific product to be reflected on e-commerce, okay, on the K2K. Then what we do is just we proceed to do the not to map that product and to make sure that it's not confirmed, and that product will then not be reflected. Eventually in the future, we already have a couple of things in the pipeline that we want to be improved, but for right now, this all mapping is being done that way. But we want to be able to get to the point that you as a company can go into the settings and say, hey, I want to not show this product. Okay. Anybody else has any other questions? Okay, so here's the Komet to Komet implementation checklist as promised. You guys should be able to see it now. It'd be great if you guys can download it, have it handy somewhere. You can take a look at it, see what what the main topics is. Again, this is going to cover just the basic information of what the required settings will be, the initial request. I mean, everything that I just went over today is going to be in this checklist. If there's anything that I miss in that checklist and that you need to know, I suggest that you can send an email over to danny@kometsells.com, and I'll be more than glad to answer that email for you and give you all the details. So I got another question here. So are we going to see in this demo the report as well? Now, when we're talking about the report, I wonder if we're talking about the report as what was sold through Komet to Komet, or which report is this going to be? Can you give me a little more details on which report you may be referring to, if that's okay? Let me go ahead and another question here. Well, you have 5 different purchase orders created. If you have different customers, go in one morning and order items from the same vendor. Okay, so that's a really good question. So what would happen if a customer, went into, let's say at 9 o'clock, purchased 3 different products, and that proceeded to create a pre-book and a purchase order. If the vendor has not confirmed the original invoice, the first invoice that was created, and the customer goes in and adds more product to the original order, then it will not create a second order. It just continues to add everything to that order. But if the vendor had already confirmed that the invoice and everything's been confirmed, then the system will proceed to create a new order. Okay. Also take into account that if the customer started creating an order but did not proceed to click on checkout, the system still creates the pre-book and the purchase order alongside with the PO, but it's going to have the little icon showing that the order is still being worked on. Once it has a checkout, then the icons will be gone. So I hope that answered the question. Anybody else has any other question? But I'll go back and kind of reintegrate again about the reporting question. What we're going to do, if we're talking about the reporting question, you want to see, how many boxes were sold. Again, this is going to be done through the BI. We're doing an improvement so you can, on the BI, be able to pull the little icon where it shows Komet to Komet, so you're able to identify what was sold through Komet to Komet. Right now, the way that it can be done is by going through the order entry. Since the icon is going to be reflected here pretty soon, we're doing a release on this part. Hopefully next week, I say by maybe mid next week, we're going to have an icon. Instead of where the little plane is, it's actually going to be showing the Komet to Komet. So it's easier to visualize this instead of having to go into the magnifying glass and click it. So if you pull Excel report for now, you'll be able to see that information. But if you're also referring to the report regarding the charges for the boxes, then this is also going to be sent. This is going to be sent out to you guys on a monthly basis, showing you what's going to be done, and we're also going to be working on this to be done through the BI so you can pull the report and compare to what we're sending you guys. Okay. Good. There's another question, and that's a really good question. Do we need to set up all vendor box dimensions to use this? Okay. And the answer pretty much is the following. You know, yes, if as the receiving company I don't have any box dimensions, yes, I do need to work on the box dimensions. But to my knowledge, most of our customers and already have the box dimensions within the system. So what the system is going to take into account is that it's going to read the vendor's box dimensions first to make sure it matches with what the product is being presented on the receiving location. So it's pretty much the main tab here is that the vendor has the box dimensions. If the wholesaler doesn't have the box dimensions for every single box, when we do the checklist, we can go in and double check to make sure. If not, we can help you enter those box dimensions. But in reality, the first step that the system is going to read the box dimensions will be from the vendor. Okay, and then it takes into account as your company's box dimensions that you have as under your platform. Here's another question: do the wholesalers have a saying as to what is confirmed in an order made by customers, or only the importer has the power to confirm? And that's a really good question. Now, the wholesaler has really nothing to do when it comes down to the importer company, because at the end of the day, the wholesaler is just projecting the inventory for their customers, right? And the system proceeds to create a pre-book and a purchase order. But when the importer sees this, they're able to determine if they can, if I don't know. I'm just gonna throw another reason. One of the reasons that I wouldn't really see much of a reason why if the product is available and it's already it's already reserved for that order and not to accomplish. But again, there's always reason, there's always an if that could happen, right? So let's say if something happens and you're not able to complete that one of the line items that in that order, as the importer, if you proceed to delete that line item, okay, it automatically removes the icon from the comment to comment on the wholesaler's end, but it does not send a message. You as an importer need to let the wholesaler know that, hey, I cannot make a specific product. Let's say an agapanthus, I cannot complete that agapanthus the black that you have, so I will proceed to remove it. Okay, but that's kind of really comes down to the decision of the vendor and how that can be handled. Hi guys, that's all the questions that I received. Once again, I want to thank everybody for being here today, for joining us out. I hope this was clear and answered a lot of the questions. Maybe if the questions might not be here yet, but you come up with a new question later on today. Again, I suggest that you can send them out to Danny@komentsales.com. That is DANNY@komentsales.com. And I'll be more than glad to answer any questions you have. If we need to do a quick demo, one-on-one demo, I'm more than glad to do so. That way I can answer any questions that come up and only just focus on your settings and how each individual company is set up. That way it makes more sense for you. Definitely let me know. Again, send me an email. We'll be more than glad to schedule like a 30-minute meeting or a demo, and we can go right through the whole process and really just answer everything thorough, okay? Again, guys, I want to thank you all for being here with us, and enjoy the rest of your day. And take care.